All right. Hey, folks. So today we're going to do something a little bit different. You guys tune into me to check out workout information, diet, all that kind of stuff. I thought it'd be fun to have a look at who I watch on YouTube. I thought you guys might like to know. So I'm going to give you a list of YouTubers who I regularly watch. I don't watch a great deal of YouTube, but when I do watch YouTube, these are the guys I normally tune into. And so I thought I would talk through their material, what I think of them, my perspective on them, stuff like that. A couple of bigger accounts, a couple of smaller accounts. So let's get into it. Firstly, thanks for making it onto my channel. If you have any questions or comments, pop them down below. And if you'd like to work with me on your own strength and physique goals, there's a link in the description. That is my bread and butter. That's what I do, is coaching. So get in touch. All right. Firstly, the big one, the biggest account out of the lot is Alex from Alphadestiny, Alex Leonidas. Now, I really enjoy his content. I first sort of heard of Alex probably about 10 years ago, I think, was when he first came onto YouTube. And he was a much sort of smaller account, but he'd already had a degree of notoriety. And I loved his training videos. He had such good energy. I sort of moved away from YouTube for about the last decade. And since I've started doing more YouTube myself, and my friend Steve, he sort of pointed me in the direction of Alex, and I started watching his stuff, and I really like his material. I think he's grown tremendously. His strength philosophy is very similar to mine. I did a video comparison of, well, not a comparison, but I did a video analysis of his training methods, and I was very positive about his training methods, and mostly because they're very similar to mine. His naturally enhanced method is essentially fairly similar in a lot of ways to my tactician and my wizard. I think we don't always have the same solutions to problems, but the key is we are looking to solve the same problems, if that makes sense. So he does a lot of work on variations, prehab, high volume work, full body stuff. So yeah, I mean, the way he implements things is different, but at least we have the same problems in mind. And that's how you know you're talking to a real lifter, because they're thinking about those things which are necessary for high level strength. So I like that about him. Next thing is nutrition. I think probably this is where we differ. So Alex has said in the past that a plant-based approach is likely the most optimum approach for health. Although I mean, I don't agree with that. I know he doesn't eat a fully plant-based approach himself. He still has meat out of preference. I think that that's probably the best way to go. I think there's a lack of research when it comes to comparing a plant-based approach with an equally healthy approach, but with the inclusion of meat. So basically a nutrient-dense approach. I believe the research he's pointing at is the one which looks at moving from a standard American diet to a plant-based diet. And you see massive benefits, huge, like undeniable benefits. However, there isn't the appropriate corresponding research looking at going from a standard American diet to a nutrient-dense approach. The data just isn't there. We don't have it. So we can't confidently say that a plant-based approach is the best. We can confidently say it's better than a standard American diet. But the research for nutrient-dense approaches is on the way. So I believe in that respect, a meat-based diet is probably, well, I believe that's more optimal for health. I think there has to be a balance. I mean, plates look fairly similar. I think, I would probably still prioritize, a third to a half meat, and then maybe the rest of it plants and vegetables, stuff like that. But I think that's probably where we differ. Now, in terms of other similarities, running. So I know he does a lot of running. He likes his running. So do I. I did a running routine last year and I really enjoyed it. Got up to running for an hour. Fantastic. Want to carry that on. I have a 5K run this year, which I'm doing with both my brothers. So that should be fun. Like a nice little brother effort. So that'd be cool. So yeah, just to sign off with Alex. Yeah, I think he's got some solid material. Check him out if you aren't subscribed to him already. Well worth a watch. So next up is Geoffrey Verity Schofield. What I like about Geoffrey is that he's able to orate his ideas with humor, and that's a very unique skill to have. Like I don't think I have that. He gives out his information with an underlying humorous tone, which I think is awesome, because you're getting great information, but you're also getting entertainment, and I think that's really good. He still emphasizes a lot of hard work and progression, but it's all done via a sort of a humorous undertone, which I think makes it very easy to digest when you're watching him. The other thing I like about Geoffrey is that he's a real lifter because he discusses a lot of lifting nuances. Now, what I mean by that is it's very easy to go along with the crowd. So when the crowd is saying strict bent over row form, yeah, you know where I'm going with this. The crowd is saying really strict bent over row form. Any cheating is just robbing yourself of gains. It's very easy to go along with that, because if you say anything different, you can get shot down in flames on Instagram and social media. And I mean, I don't really see it too much because I'm a fairly small content creator, but I imagine the bigger accounts get it a lot because they have so many followers. I get it every now and again with some of the stuff I put on Instagram, but you get such a visceral reaction from some people. I mean, I've had it a few times on YouTube where I've made videos about people's favorite coaches, and they get really upset in the comments. And I think what Geoffrey's very good at doing is, and this is why I know he's a real lifter, is that he'll discuss nuances like cheating on back work, you know, like cheat reps, and how they're more effective, because they are in certain circumstances. And I like that about him, because you know he's not just following the crowd, he's speaking from experience. So that's really good. You know, that's a very positive thing. I also think his book is excellent. I bought it months ago, and it's cheap, like $20. It's not even £20. It's very, very cheap. So yeah, Geoffrey, probably the only guy on this list, I think, who is not only an excellent educator, but he also has the unique ability to do that with humor. And for that reason, I think he'll go even further than he currently is. He's doing great with his YouTube channel and all that kind of stuff. But I think the sky's the limit for that guy. Yeah. Yeah, seems like a decent bloke. I talk to him every now and again on Instagram as well. Seems like a good guy. Third on the list is Steve Shaw. You all who's tuned into my channel, you know, like me and Steve are friends. We have a good relationship. But just to speak sort of objectively about him, as somebody you could watch if you're not already subscribed to him, he's a ridiculously strong guy, like ridiculously strong. Full body strength, squat, bench, deadlift, everything. Ridiculously strong. Competed in powerlifting. So he's objectively strong. He's been judged in competition to be strong. Now, about Steve, what I want to say is we don't all start life at the same place. You know, Steve started his sort of YouTube journey a lot larger. You know, at one point he was up to 350 pounds, and he's made no secret of this. You know, he was up to 350 pounds. He was overweight. He was depressed. Various things were going on in his life, and he turned that around. He's lost over 100 pounds. He's far happier on a day-to-day basis. I know he is. You know, his health is a lot better. You know, so like you've got to give credit to that guy. Like, yeah, we don't. Like, it's easy to say, you know, we shouldn't get up to those weights, but like, we're not all in the same body. We don't have the same lives to live. And I think what we can learn from Steve is the fact he has come down in body weight. He has done so much for his health, done so much for his mental health. Like, I think that's inspirational. It is amazingly inspirational. I recently reposted one of his before and afters on my Instagram just because it's an inspiration. And the other reason why it's an inspiration is his age. And he's older. So it gets harder. You know, like life experience is real, you know. I see that more as I get older. Like just being alive and having those experiences, if you're a switched on human being, it gives you life experiences which it's worth listening to. You know, I wish I had talked to more people growing up who were older than me, who I could learn from. I think it's so valuable. So when Steve talks, I listen. In fact, a lot of times I write things down. So it pays to listen to the older guys who have longevity, who are still doing it, you know, because I still want to be lifting at that age. I still want to be killing it in the gym. I still want to be killing it in YouTube, on business, all that kind of stuff. So I think with age and longevity comes the scope to know what works and what doesn't. So Steve's still a big, strong guy, you know. I think he's relatively close to 60 now. So he's still doing it at that age. And I mean, I know how hard it gets going from 20 to 40. And from 40 to 60 is another big jump. So for you guys who were in your 20s and early 30s, looking at Steve and you're thinking, I'm not sure about him. Like, he's the real deal, you know, and you'll realize that the older you get. So what is really cool about Steve is he's still very much on his journey. Like, he hasn't stopped. He hasn't stopped in his tracks. He still pushes. And I speak to him almost on a daily basis. I know that he's still striving for things. He's still striving for goals he has to do with the weights, to do with physique, to do with business. He's still on his journey. And I love that about him because he's not resting on his laurels. And the final thing I'll say about Steve is, like Geoffrey and like Alex, he's an excellent narrator. He's able to narrate his ideas very well. But what is somewhat unique about Steve is he does that with a motivational undertone, which I think is great. Whereas Geoffrey does that with a more humorous undertone. Steve is, I guess Alex is a little bit more like Steve in that respect because it's more motivational. So Steve is a very, very motivational talker, very motivational in person. And I think that's a strong suit of his when it comes to orating his ideas. I think that's very cool. And that's something which it's unique. Not everyone can do it. I think it's hats off to him for that because it's great. All right, next guy is Paris Butler, who you might know as Bald Omni Man. I think I've been subscribed to Paris for a good few months now. He can probably remember when. But he was one of the first guys outside of the sort of Steve Shaw circle who subscribed to me. He's one of the first YouTube guys who subscribed to me. And he started leaving comments on my videos. And I was very grateful for that. I thought this guy's great. He's got a channel himself. He's a super strong guy. And it was really nice to see his positivity. That was really cool. So he's a very, very strong guy. Super strong. His toolkit for understanding strength is impressive. Similar to Alex, he has a lot of good ideas, and this is why you know he's the real deal. And I'll also go back to, in a moment, to talk about his natty status. This is also why you know he's natty, as his ability to understand training is very impressive. So I like that. I have a rough idea of his training style. I've not actually looked into or bought any of his routines, but I have a rough idea of his training style from his videos. It's somewhat similar to mine in principle, as it is to Alex's. He likes good variation. He has a good focus on variations. He also has a good focus on building strength for size. Yeah, I think in the question, I know he's had some comments about whether he's natty or not. I think on that, he is very strong, like exceptionally strong. But if you look at sort of raw records, I mean, I'm just taking the ones from Britain as an example. For his weight, the actual raw bench record is close to 500 pounds, and I think he's done 400. So he's ridiculously strong. In fact, he's benched the same weight as I have, 20 pounds lighter. So hats off to the guy, you know. But there's no reason to think he's actually on anything. I'm 100% firmly believe he's natty, and he looks superb. So yeah, his style of talking is very much sort of informational. So he's not like Steve in that he's not. I don't think he tries to come across as motivational, although he is for a lot of people. I don't think he tries to come across as humorous either. He's very straight talking, which I think is probably more similar to what I do, just because that's my personality. So he has a very informational style of speaking. I like that about him. He has a good ability to orate his ideas and communicate them very well. And he has a very sort of relaxed, calm demeanor in how he speaks to the camera, which I think is very good for relaying information to people in a calm way, you know. So I like that. What I also like is he has a big sort of focus on anime, I think, and like sort of cartoons and things. I don't know much about that world, but I will say when I was younger, the stuff that I used to watch was Thundercats and He-Man, you know, the old style ones, and they're not dissimilar. They're not actually too dissimilar. I'm not sure if Paris knows this, but with Thundercats and with He-Man, what used to happen at the end of every episode was the star or somebody in the one of the cartoon characters would deliver a lesson because it was designed to be a kids show. And I think it was Thundercats where they actually employed a child psychologist on the TV program. And what they would do was they would deliver a 1 minute life lesson at the end of every cartoon, which was related to the story. So it was really cool. So I guess that with the stuff that he watches, there's also life lessons within that as well. So I just thought that's kind of a cool comparison. So yeah, different generations, but you know, it's pretty cool. But anyway, I like him. Seems like a cool dude. Super strong. Check him out as well. And finally, we have an account called Gravity Training. So this guy, he's a young guy based out of the UK. I think he's fairly close to me. I'm guessing by his accent. What I like about him is, and I don't know his real name, but what I like about him is, to me, he represents very much the best side of YouTube. Like, he's very positive, he's very productive, and he's very hardworking. He's the best of what young people should be like, I think. Like, he's young, he's 21. He manages to maintain his university life, his work life, and his training, as well as now a flourishing YouTube channel. So I love that. You know, I just love that. Maybe it's the school teacher that's in me, you know. But I love to see young people just getting after it like that with their life in order, just striving to do positive things, you know. And that's, I think there's a lot of positivity in YouTube, you know, like all these guys on my list, they're very positive, and it shines through when you've got a guy like him who's relatively new to YouTube, still very young, but he's all about that positivity, that productivity, and it sends the right message. And I just love to see it. So it's great, you know. It's reminds me of me when I was a kid. So hats off to you, and yeah, keep working hard. Also, he's jacked as well. So I'll before I end, I'll say a couple of honorable mentions. One is Stand Strength, so Carell. From Stand Strength, I think that's a very good channel. He explains things in a very nice, calm, relaxing demeanor. He's a strength athlete. He's also a PT, so you know he's the real deal. I think he's got some good material. I'll also say in this list, Natural Hypertrophy. I don't know much about him. I've watched a couple of his videos, which I like, but I would have to see some more of him when I have time. But what I've seen of him, he seems to have a very good way of speaking. Also, what's cool is, from the sounds of it, English is not his first language, so his ability to discuss things in English is actually very impressive. So well done to him for that. So that's pretty cool. But I'll aim to watch more of his material soon. Yeah, I mean, I don't watch. I'll just finish off with saying this. I don't watch a lot of the very large accounts like you, Greg Doucette's and stuff like that. Not because I have anything against Greg personally. It's fine, but more for the fact that I don't find a lot of value in stuff he says or a lot of those big guys say, because they tend to have a lot of production value. So I don't necessarily want to be influenced by ideas which may be a little bit off kilt just to get views. Not accusing anyone of everything, but I think that's probably a consideration when you get that big. Not saying anything in particular for any particular channel, but there we go. I'll call it there. Hopefully you guys found it interesting, and I'll speak to you guys in the next one.